9:07.
All about games. It's Games Junkie Gerard Campbell from stuff.co.nz.
Let's play tonight. Good kill.
What you're hearing there is the sounds of the intro to Modern Warfare 2. It's the latest in the Call of Duty series. To tell us all about it is Gerard Campbell from the Game Junkie blog at stuff.co.nz and Game Junkie NZ on Twitter as well. G'day to you, Gerard. How you doing?
G'day, Wammo. I'm well. You had a good weekend?
Very good weekend, thank you very much. It was in your region having a soak.
Oh, very nice. Very Auckland, isn't it?
But meanwhile, apparently, you were going hard all night to finish this game.
Yeah, I mean, there are very few games this year that I've actually, that have been compelling enough to sort of get me to sit through it. And really, Modern Warfare, the very first Modern Warfare was one of those. And then I think Modern Warfare 2 was the same. I mean, I picked it up on Wednesday, played it for a couple of hours, didn't touch it on Thursday, and then sort of finished it late Saturday night after the soccer, actually, which was so so it takes it takes a lot for a game to get me to actually really concentratedly sit down and do it, and Modern Warfare had the pull to do that.
Yeah.
It
certainly had the hype.
Yeah, certainly had the hype, and I think it was always going to do well. I think it had such a great following, and I think that the momentum from Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare just rolled through. But I mean, this game, I mean, the way that I describe it is, I mean, it's almost like a Hollywood action blockbusters all stitched together. It's just a complete roller coaster ride from start to finish, and there are times that you actually welcome when there are little pauses in the action, because it's just so frantic and so so visceral and so just an assault on your senses.
Now, I guess for the basics, for people who aren't familiar with the Call of Duty franchise, it's a war first-person shooter, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, I mean the Call of Duty series first started out as sort of World War II, as a lot of the war games do, and then with Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, it took the series to the modern day. You had Afghanistan and Iraq and so now Modern Warfare 2, it's up the ante. You've still got you still visit Afghanistan, but you go to Russia, you actually go back to the US, where there's the basic story is that one of the guys that you killed from Modern Warfare 1, he's become like a legend, like a hero. He's been martyred in Russia, and so his offsiders in the end sort of wage a war on the US, and so they take the war to the US, and it's just so they take the battleground there, and like the first Modern Warfare, you play this game between several characters. You do some missions with American soldiers and then other missions with British soldiers, so it gives you sort of two sides of the story. So it does you can, one minute you can be in the ice fields of Russia, and the next minute you can be battling onto the White House. So it goes all over the globe this time. It really does. Yeah.
Now, I'm only halfway through Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1, and I was enjoying it, and I probably still am. I'm looking to perhaps finish it, but I guess the whole idea of being constrained to a corridor of gameplay, you know what I mean? Like, you follow a corridor, and you can't really go outside of that. And I'm used to other games now where it's wide, expansive worlds, and the action forces you through a certain corridor. Does that frustrate you at all, or do you enjoy that?
Well, no, I mean, at the end of the day, if you break Modern Warfare 2 down, to its bit parts, it doesn't reinvent the first-person shooter at all, because it's still, it's like you said, if you've played Modern Warfare 1 or any first-person shooter, you're going to feel completely comfortable here, and I guess as part of the storytelling, because it's such a full-on action assault that you are directed really where you can go, so you can't deviate for them. And I guess we're spoiled when we get games like Borderlands, which I think looked at last week, which gives you a lot more scope, to explore a world. But certainly the Modern Warfare and the Call of Duty games, they are very almost scripted to a point, that when you cross a certain point in the game, it'll trigger the next event or the set piece. And I think if you go in knowing that, you're not going to be disappointed. But certainly it doesn't reinvent the first-person shooter at all. It tarts it up a wee bit and it pretties it up and it makes it more a lot harder edged. But it certainly doesn't come out and reinvent the genre at all. No.
Is this the most realistic first-person shooter that you've ever seen?
Yeah, it doesn't actually glorify war. I don't think I think it actually shows the brutality of war. And it was evidently clear. I mean, I'll talk about the airport scene in a second, but it was also evident to me that there was a section later on in the game where don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't played it, but when you rappel down a cliff face with 2 guards down at the bottom, and then you're told to pull out a knife, and you and your partner have to knife these guards, and as you grab him and stick your knife, and the guy turns his head and looks at you, and you see his eyes flicker, and then he dies, and you think, heck, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that in the game before. That it's actually pushing the realism to new heights. So it's actually showing that there is brutality there in war, and it's not, all roses and cups of tea sort of thing.
Well, yes, the big controversy, as we touched on last week, is this airport scene. Yeah. Which I heard that you can either choose at the beginning of the game to play that or skip it.
Yes, you can. I mean, but before you even fire a shot in the game, it comes up. There's a warning that comes up in the game that says that there is a scene or a mission that some people might find offensive or might offend them, and you do get the option to skip it. And then there's actually you get a second chance to say yes, I want to skip it, or no, I want to play it.
Which is extraordinary. Isn't that unprecedented in a game? It is. Did it make you feel nervous?
No, it didn't make me nervous because, as you said, I've never seen this in a game. I've never seen a warning pop up right at the very beginning saying, this scene could offend. So part of me thinks that they knew that this was going to cause some controversy. And I posted about it yesterday on the blog, and it's been a huge topic that that there are a lot of people who basically the scene is that you're, as part of the American side, you've infiltrated a Russian terrorist group. So to get the loyalty of this leader and the Russian group, you've got to join him and his crew as they go through an airport, and they basically blast civilians, basically. And so you have the choice to either shoot the civilians or you can just sit back. And personally, I sat back because I guess, initially I thought, no, I don't want to do it because it's just some sort of morality kicked in. But plenty of people are doing it, and as they're saying, it's only a game, but it does. It's a pretty brutal scene. It's something that I haven't seen in this sort of realism, and the screams or civilians crawling around in pools of blood. And I think that it was wise that they had the option to skip it because it will disturb some people. But part of me still thinks that if you can skip it, then was it really necessary to include this section in the game? I think they could have quite easily have conveyed the same message that they wanted to, in a cut scene or a news clip or some sort of thing. So I'm sort of, on two minds whether they really needed this to actually drive the story forward or not.
So Gerard, did you shoot some civilians?
Did I shoot it the first time we went through? No, I didn't. And it's funny because the civilians were through the first part, and then after you get out of the airport, there are Russian police. So yeah, I shot the Russian police. But yesterday when I played through the sequence again, because once you finish the game, you've unlocked all the missions, so you can play into each individual mission or each act on their own. And I played it again yesterday, and I went through and struck through the civilians, and I didn't feel anything, so I think the initial shock of that scene has worn off. But, I've talked to people
who became desensitized.
maybe I have, but I certainly don't think, at the end of the day, I don't think something like this is going to, I've heard comments on, from other talkback, I think less informed hosts on other shows that, this sort of thing is training, young people to be killers and mass murderers. Well, it's not. I mean, it's not going to. I mean, people, you play this, I play this, other people play this, our friends, they're not going to start to go out and go to airports, I think. But I think that it ups the bar a wee bit in terms of, mature content in games, and really shows you how brutal things can actually be, in the theatre of war, I guess. Well,
the game is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And we really appreciate you playing it and finishing it so that we could get a very good idea of what it was all about. Thanks, Gerard.
Yeah. I mean,